No country or community is untouched by violence. Images and accounts of violence pervade the media. It's in the streets, in schools, workplaces, institutions. If we continue to neglect the role of responsibility in the community, our future and generations will suffer the consequences. Love is the most valuable thing on this planet that God gave to us. But depending on how we use love, it determines whether we create or destroy.
Child soldiers get recruited not only in Africa, they also get recruited here in Las Vegas. The difference is we call them here gang members. But if a kid gonna recruit another kid, that's easier. They take the route for older gang members. We have a lot of kids that are being transferred to the adult system, not because of the crimes that they commit, but of the crimes that they are taking blame for. And that's a lie. It's the same. This is what happened to the pretty women in America. That's how they end up. And I see that every day. I work with girls that are being trafficked in the United States, and I talk to them in detention, and it's nothing pretty. It's very sad. It's painful. Awake to the reality. Feel the pain of other people. That's the only way you're going to be able to relate to them.
And I don't come from a broken home where I tried to run away. My parents are still together. They've been married about 47 years. I come from a kind of a normal family. Went to church growing up. Never was exposed to gangs. I was never exposed to prostitution at a young age. But I was I would say a victim of culture and letting the culture surround me and embrace me. And I think when we have such an influential society today, especially with the internet, with the reality shows that teach women to show flesh is the way to go and to become famous or to become successful. It's just another form of selling our body. I was a product of a generation that read Cosmo, Mademoiselle, and religiously watched MTV. I got my worth and value from what I looked like and how I could work what I had, which was just this. Inside of me was dying, though. I wanted to be noticed. I wanted to be loved. And a lot of the girls that get into this that do not get kidnapped right away are introduced by a boyfriend. Because honestly, a lot of girls don't talk. They're afraid that their captor is going to come after them. They're afraid they're going to be snuffed out, so to speak. I've had 13 friends in this industry that have died so far. From knowing girls from 1987 all the way fast forward to now. That's how many friends I've lost. And I'm not happy about it. And if I could line them up on stage right now to tell you what happened to them, I would. But I have to be their voice right now. You're their voice to listen to stories like ours of victims that have become overcomers that are alive today. And this is what the girls live in Las Vegas. No, it's not exactly like Congo Justice in Africa, but the same game applies. It's violence, justified violence to meet an end of lust, greed, and sex and perversion, to control people. Laws need to change. Our community needs to rise up, come together, become unified. We all need to work together Because if this problem continues, our city right now is in a war zone. It's going to only get worse. This was an identity crisis with me. I did not know that God loved me. And because of that, I sold myself. And see, if we can get that root issue of not being loved taken care of in many other women's lives, healing starts. It empowers them to finally heal, get set free, and eventually do what we're all doing.
Lead by example is what I've always heard for so many years. Unfortunately, the examples that I needed were out of my demographic. So I led by what I was led by. At this point, I know now my leading is and has to be led by God. Otherwise, I'll generate a generation of what I was, and we don't want that. So no one took the time really to explain the spiritual side of sleeping around and the many dangerous situations that you can find yourself in because of not wanting to wait, but having and itching that burning desire to taste the forbidden fruit again. I didn't realize how much mental anguish came from premarital sex until 3 years into my marriage. The sex topic must be raised as much as their future goals and their dreams are. Sex is all around the city, so there should be an open floor in the home to talk about this topic. It should not be a congested conversation. If it's not available, if the conversation will not be raised, then we leave our children to the media and the locals. And the locals will teach them.
Because it has to do with patterns. Patterns that you have created out of habits. Habits that you've created out of behavior. And behavior came out of thoughts. It's there in these thoughts that you have to start to recreate new thinking. You see every single person by themselves, and even if it's the two of you, there's two different people. It's like two different cultures, let alone if there's a lot of kids. And yes, kids and babies are people too. Be in the here and now. Just be, we've heard it saying. But I add to that, without judgment of the past, without advice for the future, just being here and now. Well, how can you do it? That also you've heard this evening. It's by listening.
How powerful is the word? Word can be used for war, but words can also be used for peace. If the media out there is not telling the populace the truth, then how can we feel secure in our world, in our nation, in our society, in our families? How can we feel safe? If you don't know the truth, what can people do about anything that's going on here in Las Vegas? What can people say? You know, we have no cause to fight for because we are distracted by what I call trash entertainment, you know, that the media is giving to our children and, as you said, educating our children today. But what we need is truth. We need to know the truth so that we know what is it that we need to give to our children, to our families as a whole. Use your creative abilities to express the truth, because that is what's really needed today, because the media out there is not doing it.
How you raise your child is my problem. You know why? Because I am a member of society. Your child is a member of society, and whatever your child does today, or how you raise your child today, will affect society tomorrow. Therefore, it's affecting me and my child. So don't tell me how you raise your child. It's none of my business, because it is my business. So, you know, those kids, if we don't educate them and we let the bad guys get to them first, you can have somebody in Africa working in any of those organizations, and they're going to send those kids to harm them, to kill them, and guess what? that's one of the reasons why we have to reach out to everybody, not just in America, but to every child in the world, because we're all connected somehow.
Yes.
We are literally at war in our own community. They're not selling crack anymore, people. They're looking for our daughters. What we're up against is a culture that is literally sweeping our nation. Andy was right, this is ground zero. If we recognize that this is ground zero, then why don't we be the example for every other city in this country?
Yes.
We have very good judges here. We do. I can't speak for all of them, but I can tell you, I can speak for about 8 of them. You know, there's only so many. And I would challenge everyone here to do the same, because we're at a point where we have got to just roll up our sleeves and fight for one another. We got people here coming praying on us.
Life is not a spectator sport. You have to participate. If you sit in the cheap seats and criticize, but do not get involved, shame on you. Shame on the community. But if we do not take care of the soul of this community, shame on us. Because I believe when we stand before our Creator, He's going to ask us what we did. We're finite beings. We're going to fail. We're going to stumble. But His second question is, did you keep on trying? And how are you going to answer that? Go back to the statement a few moments ago. How are we going to be judged not only by our Creator, but by the victims of human trafficking 10 to 15 years from now? Will they damn us but not waking up and looking at this?
All we do is empower. Because a lot of these people, these young girls, they have self-esteem issues. And Annie said it all. She was looking for somebody to love her. Why can't I love myself? So if somebody was there for her at that time and say, listen, girl, you're so pretty, you're beautiful, inside and out, anything you want to do, you can do it. Look at me, or look at this person.
It's expected between 2015 and 2017, human trafficking will be the #1 illicit moneymaker in the world.
Because the Bible says faith without work is dead. So we I got to get up and work and do something. A real man is one who reflects the Spirit of God. That's a real man. So we have to be protectors of our women. You know, we have to stand up like real men. A real man is the first one to die on this post. He's a protector for his woman and his wife in his village. You know, so we have to stand up. In America, we have to stand up. In Africa, we have to stand up wherever we are and not compromise as a man.
Please go back to your faith-based communities. We need that. I can remember the Civil Rights March in the 60s, 50s and 60s. Dr. Martin Luther King. We need something very similar in this community. We need all of you to stand and march and tell people to stop.
People are thinking, USA is next to heaven. It is close to heaven, but it is not. I was not aware about this issue, even in Las Vegas. What's going on in Las Vegas? I've seen that kind of problem, and we are the one who stand for this problem.
Basically, the deepness of what's going on, as far as sex trafficking is concerned, until I came here. So it's good that I came and was aware of, actually I came to be aware of what's going on. So I like it, and once you know, maybe in the future you can take the proper action to deal with it, So it's great.
I think they should have the TV, the channels, the Channel 8 News here. They need to broadcast this. They need to really reach out, because a lot of people aren't going to get this unless it's on the TV to be aware, you know, because I wasn't even aware. And I'm very grateful for coming.
Yes, empowered. We're empowered now.